I mean, I definitely don't see a whole lot of her during the softball season, but when it comes to football, I'm lucky because she's a huge football fan, so she wants to watch it just as much as I do. But
see, that's good.
Yeah, some compromise there and some good quality time we can spend together.
In front of the TV.
Yeah, exactly. Well, coming up on Fox 35 News Plus, whether you're in front of your TV or watching it on your phone, we don't care how you join us, but we hope you join us on Fox Local coming up at 11. Enough cocaine to kill everyone in Florida. That is how much cocaine the U.S. Coast Guard says they were able to offload in a recent bust. They're talking about it at Port Everglades right now in Fort Lauderdale, so we will have those updates and a whole lot more coming up on Fox 35 News
That
Plus.
is a good tease, my friend. I think a lot of people.
It's also crazy because that's just one bust, right? And that doesn't even tell you how much is still out there. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's
scary to think about.
Yeah, it is.
Very good stuff. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you at 11 o'clock as well. By the way, you know baseball games, they have got a net to keep the foul balls from going around, really at all levels to hit the fans. Well, apparently cameras need them as well. This happens a lot during a game, Little League World Series game between Connecticut and Nevada. Foul ball took out one of the ESPN cameras. This happens every year, and it just went right back and hit that. And they know this is going to happen, and this was just the perfect spot where it literally broke it right there.
We're going to need better glass, or maybe plexiglass. Would that help?
I mean, just look, it was just in the perfect spot.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
And did you see Chinese Taipei won yesterday? I felt good for them. They hadn't won since the 90s.
Yeah.
And those kids were so respectful.
I had read that the pitcher, who was just an ace, that he was a catcher up until a short time ago.
Yeah, he's like 5'10". He's a really big 12-year-old.
Yeah, he's a big 12-year-old. Yeah. But that apparently he was doing so good at throwing the ball back to the pitcher from the catcher position, they were like, you know what? You might be a good pitcher. And so they put him in as the pitcher, and obviously
by the way, Chinese Taipei is Taiwan, but they've cut a deal with the Little League, and that's what they call them. And congratulations to Nevada as well.
Oh, congrats, for sure. We're going to be back tomorrow morning starting at 4 a.m. with more Good Day Orlando. Thanks for joining us.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. Want to get you straight to Port Everglades on this Monday morning as the U.S. Coast Guard and some other agencies are talking about the largest cocaine offload in U.S. Coast Guard history. We're talking 740 pounds of cocaine. Officials say that's enough cocaine to kill everyone in Florida. This is a live news conference going on right now in Fort Lauderdale. Let's go ahead and listen in.
All right, thank you. So we have we have time for one question and one follow-up question from the media. If you could please state your name, your outlet, and who your question is for. Sir?
Yeah, Carlos Cadillo from NBC. The Attorney General, you mentioned that some of these investigations were made out of Venezuela. Can you give us more specifics if they were connected with Alfredo Soles and how many of these interdictions actually took place and how much drug was seized?
Well, many of these vessels were emanated from Venezuela. As you know, that is now a hub for Trinidad de Agua for their narcotics trafficking. They hire crews there and they begin to move those narcotics into various other locales, be it Mexico or Honduras or other places, then they be transshipped into the United States. That is a daily event that we, through the United States Coast Guard and our partners, are attempting to interdict. And it was those vessels, many of whom we know were emanated in Venezuela, that were interdicted, and the cocaine and marijuana were seized by the Hamilton and the other vessels that were mentioned by my colleagues.
Thank you. Next question? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Do you have any numbers on or any information on drugs that were recovered from Colombia?
In the government of Colombia? The cocaine, the elements that are in Venezuela and Colombia work in tandem. The cartels that are in Colombia work closely with TDA and other elements in Venezuela because it's moving narcotics. The cocaine emanates from Colombia for the most part, but the transshipment and the movement is done in large part by Venezuelan mariners and Venezuelan ships. So yes, there is a connection with Colombia.
All right, sir, please state your name, your outlet, and who your question's for.
Yes, sir.
Yes, most of these interdictions were made in the Eastern Pacific. How does this cutter and the drugs get from the Eastern Pacific here to dispose of the water and why here at Port Everglades?
Yes, sir. So our Coast Guard assets, as well as our DoD assets, we patrol both the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. We simply monitor or roll back through the Panama Canal. So we'll often transit that route to get from the east back to the Caribbean and Caribbean to the east back. So
how many, can you give us a rough idea? How many intersections were made in the East Pacific? How many were made in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela? What kind of breakdown here?
yeah, just for our 2-month patrol, we had about 2/3 of those interdictions, and then the rest came from the Caribbean, sir, on this specific offload.
I think you're stopping it for Lauderdale. Why for Lauderdale?
Yes, sir. So our ship is stationed in Charleston, South Carolina. So this is simply on the way home, as well as our partners here in Florida, Middle District, Florida. Drugs landed here. DEA lab to our west is where these are offloaded. Yes, sir.
All right, our next question.
Oh, well, it appears we lost our feed there for the Port Everglades news conference going on with the Coast Guard. But I do want to go ahead and get you inside the Oval Office as President Trump signed some executive orders. One of them just a moment ago ended cashless bail. A number of these have to do with cracking down on crime. He's been talking about this as well as he signs these executive orders. So let's get you live inside the Oval Office right now. President Trump speaking.
There's no auto pen that can do that, right? Look at that, Pam. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody. I don't know. That's the other thing. I assume we're looking at the whole auto pen scam. Sir. Because the person that ran it said he spoke to it briefly twice about nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen, very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. You can, but when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they used that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement is
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know, they gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world, by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up, trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day. 38 European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented, and it was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Everybody said it. We had a dead country. We were not going to survive. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to be involved. And this group has a lot to do with it, right behind me. Does anybody behind me have anything? Pam, would you like to say something?
Sure, President. Thank you for keeping D.C. safe. You know, just a couple examples of a mother, a single mom, whose house was burglarized, and the defendant got out on cashless bail, went back the next night and burglarized her house again. That's why this is so important. A man got in a fight with another guy. He had a gun. He was let out. Next night, he got out, went back, and killed him. So that's why it's so important, President, what you're doing. And thank you for protecting the American flag. And we'll do that without running afoul of the First Amendment as well. And President, I think I think Gaddy Serralta had something he wanted to give you on behalf of all the law enforcement who are out there every
Mr.
single
President,
night.
yes, thank you for putting me in charge of this surge. As the Director of the United States Marshal Service, it's the oldest law enforcement agency. It was created in 1789. So on behalf of all the federal law enforcement agencies that we're working with and those that have yet to join the team, we thought it was only appropriate to present you with an honorary United States Marshal Service badge. And this badge comes with this little item right here, which is a handcuff key, Mr. President, because you continue through your policies and your efforts with your staff to unhandcuff law enforcement officers all over this nation. And I can tell you personally that they thank you for that.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
You can continue unhandcuffing law enforcement.
That's a very great honor. I'll save that and put it someplace up, which is important. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Really nice. Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you. Well, we love those people. They're brave and they love our country and they don't want to see it. Do you know how many people volunteered for this job? And before I ask the VP to say a few words, because he feels very strongly about it, I think it's very important, Pam, that when we do this, that a state they come and ask us. I mean, I see Pritzker saying, we don't want them. In the meantime, a city is being shot to hell. And they do that politically. And they probably do want it. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the law enforcement people, but the sheriff said, and he came out very strongly, he said, if we didn't have these people, we were not able to control it. Now, 4 days later, after we had it totally under control, we did that quickly. He changed his tune a little bit. Well, I think we could have done it, you know. They were dead. If we didn't send in the troops, Los Angeles was dead, the Olympics was gone, the World Cup was gone, everything was gone. We did a great job. And Newsom, he's an incompetent governor. But I think people should want us to be there because otherwise all they'll do is complain as we do our job. So we'll have to think about that, okay? We go in, like in Washington, we go in and the people that are here that have been doing, I don't want to say terrible because she happens, she's a nice woman, I guess. I don't care about if she's nice, I really don't care. I want her to do, I'd rather have her be horrible but do the job. But we come into Washington and we have the 11 best days they've had here in 2 centuries. I mean, they've never seen anything like it. Let's go 2 decades. In over 20 years, they haven't seen anything like what happened. And now they're out there saying, we don't have crime in Washington. Well, that's true. For 11 days, you don't have crime. But before that, everybody was getting hit and mugged, and you people could not walk to your office without security. That's how unsafe it was. So I think we should really let them have their city, let their city go to hell, and when they come and beg us to help. The only problem is we want to save it for the people, because the people want us there. The people here, 95% of the people here want us. The real people, not the people you find on, I don't know where you find these people. You have one person that has a broken nose. Where'd you get it? Well, I was mugged. Good. Do you want to see Trump here with? No, I don't want. A woman has a broken nose. She got mugged. But she's saying she doesn't want any protection. It's all made up fake news. It's just fake news. I don't know where you find these people. Anyway, would you say a couple of words, please? And then I'm going to ask JD to say something.
President Trump speaking about crime in D.C. after signing several executive orders, one of them cracking down on flag burning, the other ending cashless bail. We don't know all the details of how these will work, but those are the headlines from the executive orders President Trump has signed just in the last little bit. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus. If you'd like to see more from Trump in the Oval Office, you can watch that on Live Now from Fox and on YouTube. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Garrett Weimer here, and I want to get you inside this virtual news conference going on right now. This is Valerie Mickler. She lives in South Florida. She is one of several people sharing their stories as part of a news conference held by Florida Voices for Help. Voices for Health, rather. This is an advocacy group that is urging Congress to act before the Affordable Care Act enhanced premium tax credits expire. They are concerned and expressing their worries about federal data showing that a number of insurance companies are proposing 18 to 41% increases in health insurance premiums. And so we are hearing from these advocacy groups and also from some Florida residents sharing their stories. This is going on live right now via Zoom, and let's go ahead and listen in.
It costs like more than $3,000 in medical bills. And that's all because during a routine screening, I could not afford the x-rays as well as the antibiotics. Now, because of my income, it fluctuates up and down, and I don't receive health care benefits from my employer, I was able to actually qualify for the marketplace subsidies. Now, I am very grateful now to have a marketplace insurance plan. And because it allows me to have consistent health care, I could afford the preventative care and routine screenings. And now I'm also able to afford my prescriptions. Now, if the ACA marketplace premiums actually increase, I am like really afraid that I would go back to skipping like my medical visits. I won't be able to afford my medication. And most of all, I will gain, medical bills that will actually add to Florida's already billions of dollars in medical debt. So thank you so much for listening to my story.
Valamir, that was fantastic. Thank you again for taking the time, and the three of you, because I think it shows just like the range of people who are impacted by this. Last, I want to invite up Erica Lee from Florida Policy Institute, really to kind of make this policy connection, but also to, I think, connect to other things happening in the landscape that are really relevant for Floridians in this moment.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, and thank you everybody for sharing. I just want to first and foremost reiterate kind of what Scott said, that since 2015, Florida has had the highest number of individuals utilizing the ACA marketplace to gain health insurance out of any state in the United States. And because of these premiums and the Extended Inflation Reduction Act through 2025 that lowered a premium cost in the marketplace. Florida's marketplace enrollment, as Scott said earlier, has risen to 4.7 million people, and that's about 1 in 5 Floridians. With the expiration of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act marketplace credits and additional impacts from HR 1, we know that Florida is going to face a major setback. According to new estimates from KFF, 1.4 to 1.9 million Floridians are projected to lose coverage. And this translates to our uninsured rate climbing by 6 percentage points, which would place Florida among the very worst in the nation for health coverage. Over 90% of the coverage losses projected for Florida are because of cuts to the Affordable Care Act, marketplace subsidies, and eligibility. And we know this isn't just numbers on a page. Over half, 51%, that's roughly 2.4 million people on the Florida marketplace have very low incomes, which is below 138% of the federal poverty level. And so, what's interesting in tying this federal policy to how this impacts Florida is we know that Florida still has not expanded Medicaid, but that is the threshold that is used to qualify for Medicaid expansion in other states is 138% the federal poverty level. And so, again, that's about 2.4 million people that fall into that range in Florida. And these families are among the most at risk for losing coverage altogether, as you've heard here today. So it's really important to note that HR 1 didn't change the federal government's commitments to Medicaid expansion. So we would still receive a 90% reimbursement rate for covering newly eligible people. So that financial foundation of Medicaid expansion remains pretty strong. And so, in the face of these projected coverage losses, expanding Medicaid is a clear, immediate step that Florida can take to protect families' health and stabilities. And so, this is why there's grassroots groups across the state, known as Florida Decides Healthcare, that are organizing towards a citizen-led amendment. And this would bring to the question of Medicaid expansion to the ballot so that Florida voters could make the decision if our state will close this coverage gap and expand Medicaid. Meanwhile, until that happens, we're facing a healthcare cliff due to our reliance on the ACA marketplace that threatens not only access to care for families and small business owners, but our healthcare providers and the economy as well. So I just wanted to lift that as well in light of everything that we've talked about today. Thanks, Scott.
No, thank you so much, Erica. I think the goal of the presser today was one, to kind of put this in front of Floridians to let them know that it's a thing to watch out for as they reconsider what their plans are for next year. Right? We don't want folks to get to November when they sit down with their plans for the first time and see and be shocked really by just how much prices have gone up. But two, to call on our members of Congress to act in this moment. They still have the opportunity to extend the tax credits that would mean relief for millions of Floridians and put healthcare that much more in reach. But finally, the opportunity for Medicaid expansion is still there in front of us. It has huge bipartisan support based on all the recent polling. We know what it means for people on the ground, and now we're facing this cliff of people who will be losing coverage who would have otherwise benefited. So for all those reasons, we've decided to pull this together. I really appreciate each of you for taking the time, to our speakers for sharing everything that you did, and to our members of the media who have sat in and listened. And so we'll just open up now for any questions you might have. I'll also say, yeah, feel free to reach out to us afterward. We will put you in touch with anyone who is here and some other folks. And yeah, just willing to continue this conversation. John Kennedy, I see a hand up. Or was that a mistake?
Scott Darius from Florida Voices for Health. He's the executive director there. He is wrapping up this news conference where we heard from some of these advocates and residents as well, urging Congress to act. You heard about those premium tax credits that are expiring, that they want to extended, and also urging state lawmakers to look at Medicaid expansion. So this news conference, I believe they may be taking a couple questions here. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We have some breaking news this morning that we've been following, an update to a shooting that happened yesterday at an Orlando apartment complex. Let me show you some video here. This happened at Village Springs at Lake Orlando. It's an apartment complex off Cinder Lane. We know that 2 women were taken to the hospital after the shooting and later died. So 2 people killed in this shooting at the Orlando apartment complex. Police have described it as a domestic incident. According to Orlando police, one of the victims was in a relationship with the suspect, and the second victim was a friend. We now do know the suspect. This is the booking photo for Elliot De Jesus Marquez. He, according to police, took off from the scene after the shooting, but was caught shortly after. He is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. So we are following up on this, trying to learn some more details about this situation. But the update today, 2 people killed in the shooting yesterday afternoon at an apartment complex in Orlando. Meanwhile, the showdown over the Rainbow Crosswalk outside Pulse nightclub in Orlando continues. We know that crews were back out there, FDOT crews, I should say, were back out there again last night, painting that crosswalk once again. This is the 3rd time now that they have done that just in a matter of days. Meanwhile, protesters and others have been chalking and painting the rainbow back right in front of the Pulse nightclub site, and this has been going on for several days now as this kind of standoff and showdown continues over what's going to happen with that crosswalk. And Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie has more.
Well, you can take a look behind me. You can see that the crosswalk is back to being black and white. It has been repainted about 3 times over the past week, and there are some rainbow-colored flags next to the crosswalk in the grass. Now, you may also notice that there's a Dunkin' Donuts right next to it. In the parking lot are several Orlando Police Patrol cars and officers, as well as state troopers parked here. Now, just over the weekend, they were also here staked out at the memorial. That was when some people were still coloring the area around the crosswalk with chalk. Now, last month, the Trump administration sent a letter to all 50 states that roadway markings be free from distractions. FDOT is now requiring cities across Florida to repaint crosswalks to standard crosswalk colors and discourage political messaging. Governor Ron DeSantis wrote on X this past week, quote, "We will not allow our state roads to be commandeered for political purposes." But City of Orlando leaders argue the state is the one who installed the crosswalk after the deadly mass shooting at the Pulse nightclub, claiming it's a memorial to remember the 49 people killed.
I can't think of anything more wasteful than painting over a multi-million-dollar project in the City of Orlando that they installed.
Business owners around the city are now adding a pop of color to their properties to push back, saying the state can't tell them what to do on their private property. On Sunday, supporters painted a rainbow flag at the parking lot of the Moho Man clothing store. FDOT says there are at least 18 other crosswalks and bike paths in Orlando that are not in compliance following the rules, so those will have to be repainted by the deadline of September 4th. Reporting in Orlando, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, coming off a pretty rainy weekend, and it sounds like we're going to have more moisture coming in too.
What you see is what you get, Garrett. It's the southwest flow off the Gulf. It's called a reverse flow. Typically this time of year, you get a flow off the Atlantic. So you have the sunny mornings and the stormy afternoons. But with the reverse flow off of the Gulf, thanks to the approach of a front, well, we can have stormy mornings. That's what we've seen across parts of the area this past weekend and even this Monday morning. Well, here's the scoop. This front is a little unusual in that typically in late August, we don't get cold fronts in Florida. They don't make it much past Georgia. Well, this one's going to make inroads into north central Florida. And in doing so, it is going to bring drier air into North Florida by Wednesday, essentially shutting down the rain chances. But the big question, does it make it into Orlando? And the reason that's a big question is because if it doesn't, but it comes close, that'll actually up our rain chances for the middle of the week, giving us an even heavier shot at rain. And when storms form, they could be severe thanks to the dry air in the vicinity and some big wind gusts. That's all in the cards. However, If it comes through, even if it moves down to Kissimmee, we may catch just enough dry air to kind of dry it out for a lot of the area. That said, it's not going to make it much farther south than our region. After that, it stalls and moves back north as a warm front, and so the tropical moisture is not going anywhere. And more importantly, our southwest flow is not going anywhere, that reverse flow off the Gulf. And that means that straight through our Labor Day weekend coming up, we're going to have a really moist setup with periodic showers and storms at pretty much any point during the day, especially on the Gulf Coast side in the mornings and mid-mornings and early afternoons across the Orlando area. And today is no exception. We've got about a 60% chance of rain here in Orlando, but as you head west toward the Gulf Coast, it ramps up to about a 90 to 100% chance where it's already been raining. Now, the theme this afternoon is that we're going to see our weather coming in from the west. So if you're working outside, whether you're a crossing guard or you're on a construction site, you'll want to watch that western sky because we'll have what looks to be scattered to numerous storms popping up between 1 and 5 p.m. So for our school pickup, if you're meeting your student, or for the bus stop as they head home, it's possible we're going to have some rain we're contending with, if not lightning storms. Now, most of the action should end before 7 p.m. Tomorrow, we rinse and repeat. Now, as far as rain totals go, from today through this weekend, through Sunday, we could see a widespread 1 to 5 inches of rain, with some spots seeing as many as 7 inches. This would be cumulatively. So this would be, you add up an inch of rain here, an inch of rain there, and it all kind of adds up. All right, here's your tropical update. Tropical storm Fernand is east of Bermuda, and it's moving off toward the northeast at a pretty good clip. In doing so, it's got a pretty decent structure, but it's no threat to land. It will be a threat to shipping lanes, though, across the North Atlantic, adding yet more swell in the wake of Hurricane Aaron that is still leading to a very bumpy Atlantic basin. So thankfully, Fernand is no threat to the U.S. Elsewhere in the tropics, we've been watching a tropical wave since last week that had a 60% chance to develop early on in the eastern Atlantic, but now a 0% chance. That tropical wave is entering a portion of the eastern Caribbean known as the hurricane graveyard, where the wind shear this time of year is climatologically quite high and tears up storms before they can really get going. And now that the tropical wave has moved into that environment, this is following suit and has no chance to develop at this point. So a 0% chance. In fact, it looks like we're going to have a couple weeks of quiet weather in the tropics. That's your tropical update. Let's talk 7-day forecast. We're going to see more of the same over the next 7 days with a 60% chance of rain today and tomorrow. On Wednesday, I've got it down to a 50% chance, kind of a nod to that cold front, which may bring drier air into at least half of our viewing area, especially Ocala and maybe up through Gainesville. But then as the front goes back north, we're going to see the floodgates open for more heavy rain as we get into this Labor Day weekend. Yeah, Garrett, I wouldn't cancel plans over Labor Day weekend, but for sure, if you're going out on the boat, just make sure you stay close to the weather forecast so you don't get caught in a storm.
Yeah, that's a good point. We know a lot of people are going to be making the most of that holiday weekend, so certainly going to have to keep an eye on that forecast. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure as always. Thank you, Garrett.
And as we go to break, does this look like a postcard or what? Live look at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. Keep it here. More Fox 35 News Plus after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday morning live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Attorney General James Othmeyer announced a new initiative aimed at cracking down on illegal immigration here in the state of Florida. They're going to do that by increasing enforcement operations at state agriculture inspection stations. So the Attorney General and some other state leaders held a news conference this morning at the inspection station off I-10 in Live Oak. And one of the things that the Attorney General announced also was the arrest of an illegal immigrant driving a commercial vehicle. No, we're not talking about Harjinder Singh, the man who is facing charges in connection with that deadly crash in St. Lucie County. This is another suspect who was, again, arrested with a New Jersey driver's license. They say it is not valid here in Florida because of his undocumented status, his illegal immigration status. And so now Roberto Carlos Vergara Cervantes, he is from Ecuador. According to the Attorney General's office, he is now he's now on an ICE hold, awaiting deportation back to Ecuador. This is from that news conference earlier today in Live Oak, as state leaders talk about this new initiative to crack down on illegal immigration and also illegal immigrants driving using commercial driver's licenses from other states.
Border security is national security. While the United States Border Patrol is often simply considered an immigration agency, our agents are authorized by law and empowered by the President to address all national security threats. Each day, foreign terrorist organizations challenge the sovereignty of our nation and seek to endanger the Florida communities by attempting to smuggle drugs, illegal aliens, and weapons of mass destruction into the United States. Florida has become a top destination for foreign terrorist organizations such as Tren de Agua and MS-13 due to its proximity to the Caribbean and Central and South America. Our partnership with Florida law enforcement agencies has allowed us to gain the upper hand on criminal organizations operating in Florida and has forced them to operate in the shadows. The Florida Department of Agriculture is an invaluable partner in this mission. They work shoulder to shoulder with our agents to identify, locate, arrest, and deport criminal illegal aliens within Florida communities. Recently, we conducted a joint operation with the Florida Department of Agriculture, specifically the Office of Agricultural Law Enforcement, to arrest illegal aliens that were illegally harvesting saw palmetto berries. The operation resulted in nearly 100 arrests. Partnerships are the cornerstone of our success. Since April 21st, 2025, Operation Tidal Wave, a federal, state, and local law enforcement partnership, has resulted in thousands of illegal aliens arrests and deportations across Florida. The United States Border Patrol will continue collaborating with our partners to deliver consequences to those who remain in the United States illegally. The message is clear. Leave now voluntarily through the CBP home application or face the consequences when you are arrested. One last thing. If anyone, illegal alien or American citizen, assaults or threatens a Border Patrol agent or any law enforcement official, you will be arrested, you will be charged with a felony, and you will be prosecuted. We are committed to safeguarding Florida and protecting our nation. We are grateful to the free state of Florida for their partnership in our shared mission. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, obviously, this is a very important mission for our nation and country, and Florida is doing its part. And so we're going to, if there are a few questions, we'll be happy to try to answer a few. Yeah, so President Trump signed an executive order, I think in April, which was a law that I think they carried back to 1937, that said that if you are not proficient in English, you cannot drive commercial vehicles. And the reason it is important, our ag law team is all over the state, but we do primarily the checks in the northern border through our interdiction stations. And if we catch them here, we can certainly prevent those type of accidents that happened on the turnpike the other day. And so our goal is to continue to ramp up our encounters here at the interdiction stations and make sure we're getting these guys off the road. That's a DOT conversation. We know what we're doing here at the ag law and interdiction stations.
Yeah, the question is, am I surprised that other states are granting these CDL licenses to illegal immigrants? I guess I'm not surprised, sadly, that states like California and Washington and sanctuary states want to do this. But I do think there is major liability here. Our office is investigating both the actions of other sanctuary jurisdictions as well as the agents and companies that provided these exams or lack thereof. It's hard to imagine a situation where somebody doesn't speak English can actually go through one of these exams and receive, the necessary authorization. If you can't read street signs, how are you going to drive large commercial vehicles, 18-wheelers, tractor trailers in a safe manner? You could see it down in southeast Florida, right there where the truck turned and the unfortunate collision took place. There is literally a no U-turn sign that says official use only. For people, in the state that are driving, you see the little paths that cross over between the freeways, and you got fast-moving traffic. Oftentimes you see law enforcement or first responders there. It's a dangerous thing to do with such high-speed vehicles. So to do so in an 18-wheeler with surrounding traffic just shows the carelessness and the danger that was posed on other drivers in the area. So not surprised. Would like to see, our red states and our federal government work together to combat these policies, because they don't just impact the drivers in that state, as we've seen here. Drivers go into other states and ultimately put other state citizens at risk. So we'll continue to pursue any legal remedy we can, and we'll continue to work with our state partners in a defensive posture to protect Floridians from these out-of-state illegal aliens operating this large equipment. The question is, does the federal government have the ability to regulate here? The answer is absolutely yes. It's been great to see the Trump administration already stepping up. I believe last week, Thursday, Secretary Rubio formally announced that the federal government is going to be revoking all visas related to, non-citizen labor operating these vehicles. I know the U.S. Department of Transportation is beginning some sort of audit into the behaviors of some of these states. And like I said earlier, we certainly are calling on and looking forward to work with the federal government in the hopes of restricting CDL programs that are operating in a careless manner. Last night, an illegal alien was detained in Bay County for driving a commercial vehicle. Already put under an ICE hold. That individual will be deported back to where he came from. And it just shows that, this is going on across the state. So checkpoints like this are going to be a great way to stop it. I know our state law enforcement has other interdiction efforts. The troopers, again, were able to detain several hundred individuals last week that will be queued up for deportation. And going forward, we're going to do everything we can to identify illegal aliens driving these vehicles and pursue legal action where necessary.
We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. President Trump taking questions now from the Oval Office. And let's go ahead and listen in as he continues to speak as we near the noon hour here in Eastern Time.
Anyway, but I want them to do well in particular now.
But isn't public ownership of a private company a new way of doing business in the business of the United States? Isn't that what you were sort of rejecting?
So are tariffs. So, as you know, the stock market went up almost 1,000 points on Friday. And it went up not because of this very, I think, terrible, hello? Who's that? Who is that back there? All right, get out of the room. It went up because of something much different. It went up because it was announced, CBO announced the numbers, and as you know, they gave no credit to tariffs. They said they made a mistake, that the trade deficit will be reduced because of Trump's tariffs, will be reduced by $4 trillion, right? Is that what they said, right? They said $4 trillion, and the market went up like a rocket ship because the tariffs are good. Well, tariffs aren't that usual. If the 7 wars I stopped, 4 of them were because of the fact that I had tariffs and trade. And I was able to say, well, if you do this, if you go fight and if you want to kill everybody, that's okay. But I'm going to charge you each 100% tariff when you trade with us. You know what? They all gave up. I stopped 7 wars. Numerous of them was because of tariffs. So, you know, you never knew the word tariff. It didn't exist really, essentially, in this country until actually in the 1870s up till 1913 it existed. And we were the richest country. We were richer then, proportionately, than at any time in the history of our country. And then, stupidly, in 1913, they said, let's go to the income tax way of life. Let the people pay instead of foreign countries. No. We're taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs, and we're stopping wars because of tariffs. So that's not so normal either. But you know what? Other countries did it to us, and now we're doing it to other countries.
You rolled out boots on the ground in Ukraine, but how would air support as part of a security guarantee be any different? Those U.S.
Well, you
airmen...
really went from one question to the next. You go from one. I expected him at least challenge me a little bit. Now we're talking about boots on the ground.
But U.S. air assets over the skies of Ukraine as part of a security guarantee, wouldn't those U.S. airmen also be in danger?
Well, you don't know what security guarantee is because we haven't even discussed the specifics of it, and we'll see. Number one, Europe is going to give them significant security guarantees, and they should because they're right there. But we'll be involved from the standpoint of backup. We're going to help them. And I think if we get a deal, and I think we will, but if we get a deal, you're not going to, I don't believe you're going to have much of a problem. But we'll back it up because I want to stop seeing people being killed. You know, when Biden was here, he gave $350 billion. You know this from covering business. $350 billion to Ukraine. I said that Zelensky's the greatest salesman I think I've ever met, better than P.T. Barnum, because he'd come to the country, he'd walk out with $50 billion every time. He actually came here once, he walked out with $100 billion. We're up to $350 billion. I got $1 trillion worth of rare earth that we have from the country because I felt badly for our taxpayer. But I did something else at the NATO meeting. They are wealthy countries, but they weren't paying. And we don't pay any money to Ukraine anymore. Do you know that? In fact, it's the opposite. They request through NATO, we deal with NATO. We don't deal really with Ukraine. NATO requests missiles. They want Patriots. They want missiles. We give the missiles to NATO. NATO pays us in full and does what they want. I mean, I think they give them mostly they can do other things with them too because we're dealing with NATO. We pay no money to Ukraine. We gave $350 billion to Ukraine. You know, if we didn't give that kind of money, and I was the one that gave the javelins, if you remember. I gave the javelins. They were very effective. They say Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. They were very effective with those tanks right at the beginning. But you would have never had a war if I were president. You would have never had a war. Just to finish, we spend no money on Ukraine anymore. We were getting fleeced by a president that didn't know what he was doing. To be honest, I don't blame Ukraine. I mean, if they come and ask for $100 billion, then they get it. But we were in for $350 billion. Now, we make money. I don't want to make money on Ukraine. I want the war to end because I want to save all those lives. I want to just save, but just so you understand, we're no longer losing money on that thing. We were losing money hand over fist. And now we don't lose any money. Now we sell weapons to NATO. Because NATO agreed, because of me, to go to 5%. They had 2% and didn't pay. Now they have 5% and they're all paid up. So they have trillions of dollars and they give us that money. But I really want the war to end, and we're going to get it ended.
Mr. President, this is the historic summit here with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders all met here with you at the White House. You said you wanted to get this done bilateral as soon as possible. Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation? Or can you share?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation, and then unfortunately a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace, and then I get very angry about it. I think we're going to get the war done. It's tough. I thought that would be, of the 7 that I settled, I thought that would be the easiest of the group. See, you never know what's going to happen. You know, war, strange things happen in war. The fact that he went to Alaska, our country, I think was a big statement that he wants to get it done. That was not easy for him to go to Alaska, you know, for him to come here. But the fact that he showed up on a very successful day, it was a very successful day for other things. Because, you know, we're also talking about missiles, nuclear. We're talking about a lot of different things. We're talking about limiting nuclear weapons. We'll get China into that. We have the most. Russia has the second most, and China has third, but China is way behind, but they'll catch us in 5 years. We would like to denuclearize. It's too much power, and we talked about that also. That's part of it, but we have to get the war over with.
On Baltimore, sir. Thank you. On Baltimore, you said that you are going to have to reconsider bridge funding. Is that contingent on Westmore cleaning up the streets?
No, we were very generous to him on a bridge. You know, a boat ran into a bridge and the bridge came down like I've never seen anything. The boat was just, it just shows you the mass of that boat, the power of that boat. You know, people were up on that bridge, painters, they were painting the bridge and they were watching it happen. And they thought they were very safe. They all died. They were painting the bridge, can you imagine? And they watched the boat, the engines were off, and they watched the boat, and the power of that boat, the mass of that boat, went right through that steel just like it was nothing. It's amazing. It's called mass. Mass is a big deal. But the mass of that boat, those people all died. But they thought they were totally safe. They were eating their lunch. They were, you know, whatever. They were watching it. They could have gotten off. Somebody did a very good job. A police officer called in and said, close the bridge, and he did it with power. Get everybody off the bridge, close that. That guy should get a medal because he stopped the bridge. A lot of people would have died. A lot more people would have died. The ones that died were the workers on the bridge. And they thought there was no danger because, you know, it's a big steel bridge. And it came down like toothpicks. It was incredible to watch that. It was just, and they died. They all died. But that police officer, again, the police do a great job. The police officer did an amazing job. And I heard the tapes. He would say, get everybody off. Most people wouldn't have said that. You know, when you see a thing like that, you assume it's going to, you know, tap the bridge and it's going to be rebuffed. The thing just came down. I've never seen anything like it. So he did a good job. In fact, I think we should get him in for a medal. The man that gave the warning, I listened to him. Everybody get off screaming. Everybody off. He had the sense to realize that this could be a catastrophe as opposed to a ship that's, because the engines weren't working, it was just floating. It's an amazing thing that a thing floating like that with no power just knocked it right down like it was nothing.
So
Let's do that. Let's give him a medal. I've been thinking about it.
Mr. President, do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Say it what?
Do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. I know Chris better than anybody in the room. I always felt he was guilty. But what he did is he took the George Washington Bridge, which is very serious. He closed down the George Washington Bridge. And you had medical people, you had ambulances caught up. This thing was closed down. And obviously he knew about it. But he blamed the young lady that worked for him and another person, and they got into a lot of trouble. She ultimately was, I don't know, exonerated, but she got out of it a little bit. But she went through hell. She was a young mother, nice person. I knew her a little bit. And another man went to jail, and Chris got off. And so when I listen to Chris speak his hate, I say, oh, what about the George Washington Bridge? You know, tell me about the George Washington Bridge. He blamed other people, but he knew all about it. So no, I don't know if they want to look at it. It's not for me. If they want to look at it, they can. You could ask Pam. I think we have other things to do, but I always thought he got away with murder.
Mr. President, do you plan to make an endorsement in the Texas Senate race between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn?
Well, I'll make up my mind. I like them both. The worst situation I have is when I have two people that I get along with well. I hate it. And they all want the endorsement. You know, I'm almost 100% of the people I endorse win. It's a great honor. And I got, as you know, I got the largest vote in the history of Texas by far. Nobody's ever gotten more votes in the last election. I think in all the elections, the 3 elections. But
President Trump continuing to speak and answer some questions in the Oval Office right now. A couple of things we are watching here at this noon hour. Ashley Moody hosting a ceremony in Lake County where she's honoring some Vietnam veterans. So let's go ahead and get you there. We are also standing by for the start of Scott Frost's UCF news conference. He's the head coach of the UCF football team. We expect to hear from him shortly, and potentially as he makes official naming who the starting quarterback will be for Thursday's season opener. Well, let's go ahead and get you inside the ceremony going on at American Legion Post 347 in Lady Lake. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Commander of the Guard, advance the colors. Fellow veterans, present arms.
That ceremony just getting underway, and here is Scott Frost speaking to reporters, making official just moments ago that Cam Fancher will be the starting quarterback for the UCF Knights, starting with the season opener coming up on Thursday night against Jacksonville State. Let's go ahead and listen in as Frost continues to speak.
Yeah, you get to a point where you practice so much that, you know, you need to see what they can do in a game. And you know, there's a saying that's true: you don't rise to the occasion, you follow the level of your training. And I feel like we've trained well, but everything changes once you're out there on the field. And I just want our guys to be ready to attack, play with no fear of failure, and just play hard. You can see around the country there's a lot of mistakes happening, first game mistakes, and just a few games that have already happened. We're going to try to limit those, but understand those are going to happen. And effort usually makes up for a lot of that. So I just want to see our guys come out and play as hard as they can.
What did Cam show you in spring and then carry over into fall camp that helped you make your decision?
Again, I don't want to talk about one guy too much. Cam's done a really good job with just command of the offense, control of everything. He's doing a good job turning broken plays into positive plays. But all 3 guys have done well. So it's Cam's job right now.
With Cam being made the starter, did that influence any way which wide receivers you're looking to get out there, or what have you seen from the wide receivers leading up to this, and who could we expect to see out there?
No, who it is won't change a lot. You know, every position had battles, and the receiver group really had to grow. Again, not because we don't have talent there, because just we don't have a lot of game experience and production there. I've seen a tremendous amount of growth from those guys, and I feel like we're deep there. We can play quite a few guys, so I think you'll see a lot of different guys out there Thursday, and they're all gonna get their chance to make an impact on the game.
Similar to that, does that change the alignment of the offensive line at all? I know Paul's worked at right tackle last year, and he's spent time at left tackle this year during camp, with Camp being left-handed, and the different blind side. Does that change it at all?
No, we don't want to move Paul just for something like that. So, I do feel like we got guys, including Paul, that can play multiple spots, and if the need arises, he could be on the left or right. But all those position battles were independent of one another, and it would be a crime for me to play somebody in a different spot or a different person because of the outcome of a different position race. So there'll be several spots where multiple people get to play, and we're going to have a rotation. But I think we're settled in pretty well, and we'll probably release the depth chart here in the next couple of days.
You mentioned many times throughout camp that this would be a player-led battle and that the team would also gravitate towards the starter. Did you start to see that towards the end of fall camp?
Really, it was neck and neck right until the very end, and we got to a point we had to make a decision, I think, in the probably last 4 or 5 days before we decided. I think Cam probably played the best in those, but that's not taken away from anybody else. I got a ton of confidence in several other guys.
I don't think we asked you since you've been hired, but will you be calling plays on Thursday? And if so, how excited are you to kind of get back into doing that?
Yeah, I'm excited just for the game in general. Steve Cooper's done an unbelievable job when I'm doing head coaching things, running the offense. I've been around him a lot, and he thinks very similar to the way I think, and it'll be a collaboration between the two of us.
Coach, you mentioned the lack of game experience from the wide receiver position. How impactful has Coach Beck been in that role, being obviously not a help to you, not only just a help to you, but to those younger guys as well, just being a UCF guy and being who he is?
Well, I love Sean Beckton. He's like the OG around here. He's Mr. UCF. He does a great job, not just with his position group, but keeping the entire team on track and thinking the right way. He's a great asset to us, and he's had his work cut out for him again, just because of lack of experience in that room and game experience. But the guys know what they're doing. They're in good shape, and they're going to get their opportunity to go make plays.
Coach, I know you're going to be concentrating on game plans and all of that, but how emotional do you think you'll be when you run out on the field Thursday?
I figured someone would ask me that. I think I'm going to be so mission-focused running out there that I won't even stop to look around and reminisce or anything like that. At some point, I probably will, and it'll be great to be back there. But, it's time to go to work, and it's time for business when we're running out on the field. And I'll probably be more in tune with who won the coin toss, who's on offense, who's on defense, and our first few plays of offense when we get it.
Also, fellow Orlando and Lee Corso, his last game on game day is a Saturday. Do you have any Lee Corso stories?
No, none that I can share anyway. But, Coach has always just been great. There's a fine line when you're in the media of being an entertainer and being loyal to who you are as a football coach. I always appreciated about him that he was good to everybody in our profession because he's been in that profession. So it was less about criticism and more about honest analysis and praise for coaches, and he did it the right way.
You mentioned how throughout the games this past weekend you saw a lot of mistakes, just the nature of it being the first game of the season. Knowing that there's still a lot unknown about this team in a game situation, what do you feel confident about heading into Thursday's game?
I feel confident about a lot. The preparation's been really good. Feel confident about our athletic ability and just how we come together as a team. You're not going to go through any game and not have ups and downs. And so I really want our team to just stay mission focused and keep attacking and trying to make great plays. Whether good things happen or bad things happen, we got to keep the foot on the pedal and keep pushing forward. And I feel good about where we are, but we'll get tested both ways with good things and bad things.
Coach, what's the breakdown on Jacksonville State?
You know, there's a lot of unknown going into this game, probably both ways. You know, I got a lot of respect for Coach Kelly and everywhere he's been. Their coordinators have been in really good spots. Really think that the Coach Trickett does a really good job with their O-line going back. And, you know, we're not 100% sure what they're going to be lined up in and what they're going to be doing. They're probably not 100% sure about what we're doing. We've watched on offense Maryland tape and Auburn tape and Jacksonville State tape, and I'm sure they've watched Nebraska and Oregon and UCF and Boise and the Rams. I don't know. So go into a game like this, and it's a little harder to scheme somebody else up. Kind of becomes just more line up and do what you do and play ball.
Scott, when you look at this this camp, what are you the most proud of this group coming out of this fall camp?
I suppose their willingness to do what we asked them to do. There's been a big difference even going into this game week. You know, we expect the kids not to come out 3 days and 4 days before a game and just walk through plays. Like, we're practicing hard. And it took them a couple series to understand what we wanted. But every time we've had a situation like that where we expect them to do something different than what they're used to, they've been really open to giving everything they have to give us what we want. And that means we've been able to move in the right direction the whole time. And I appreciate the guys' willingness to buy in.
Coach, what players maybe stepped up in leadership positions on this team, and have you made a decision or a vote regarding team captains?
Well, the guys in the back have done a great job. Miles and Nigel have both been great. Miles is pretty much clear leader of our offense right now. He's like having another coach on the field. He's demanding of the guys. He expects the standard all the time. It's been great to see. Nigel and Kelly Lawson, some other guys on offense, Malachi have done a good job with that on defense too. The leadership is growing, but you know, we definitely got some guys like that are cut out for it and natural leaders.
How have you seen that brotherhood build throughout camp and in preparation now for game one?
You know, it's been interesting. I don't think you can really come together until you have some shared experiences, good and bad. And there's been a couple hiccups that we've had, you know, fights on the field, little things like that, some things that challenged our togetherness. And sometimes you have to go through those things. They end up being a positive because guys find a way to come together more after that. You can't manufacture those. Those just have to happen. And those will continue to happen this year as we ride the highs and lows of the season. So I feel good about where we are from a unity standpoint, but we have a ways to go.
You've talked about success being defined by progress and a reliance on the rise and conquer mantra. How do you feel the team is continuing to buy into that even at this point, and do you feel like it's a season-long adjustment, staying patient and making those incremental improvements?
Yeah, I mean, we're a lot better than we were at the beginning of camp, and we started camp a lot better than we were in spring. But we got to keep getting better throughout the season, and that's on the field and off. So we'll keep putting the guys through what we think we need to put them through to continue to improve. And as good as we are in game one, hopefully it's a lot better game 6.
With regards to Jacksonville State, one thing that is known is they're starting Gavin Wimsatt at quarterback. I want to know if you knew what you knew about him, given the fact that he played at Rutgers, and if you knew him as a recruit during your time in Nebraska.
Yeah, I remember watching him as a recruit, and we were interested in him out of Jersey. You know, big, athletic kid, can really spin the ball. We played quite a bit at Rutgers, played a little bit at Kentucky. You know, he's a specimen to watch him run and throw the ball. He's got all the tools. So we're going to have to be on our game. I know he can run it and he can throw it, so the defense has to be sure to be in the right places and the right gaps with the right eyes. And him and others will challenge us.
Coach, I heard recently about how during this season you talk about how what others have been saying about the team and all that type of stuff. And so I know that some people can go on the idea of, you know, keep away from social media or don't really listen to what other people are saying. But how do you kind of take that and use that to help propel this team forward?
Yeah, I think the days of not reading newspaper articles are over. The kids don't walk 10 feet without looking at their phone anymore. So there's no hiding it anymore. It's better to just address the elephant in the room head on. One thing I appreciate about UCF and always have is there's a little bit of a chip on your shoulder attitude here, and there was when I was here the last time. So I think the kids are embracing the fact that nationally there's not a lot expected of the group, and I think that's been a motivation for them. So they're going to get their chance to take the first step to prove people wrong on Thursday.
Earlier, you said you may not have time to reminisce, but just how excited are you to be coaching football again?
Yeah, I love that part of it. You know, the best parts about coaching are impacting young lives and competing, and you get to do both those things in a big way at practice, but especially at games. And we got a pretty special group of guys, you know, and I told them the other day, when I was here last time, there was a group of guys that came together so well that it was life-changing almost for them and what they got to experience together. And I want that for this group too. I want them to have those kind of trials and that kind of success, and you take those kind of experiences with you for the rest of your life. So we're working to build that here again.
Coach, what do you most want to see from Fancher in the season opener?
Well, the first thing you want your quarterback to do is take care of the ball. Jacksonville State has had a lot of success lately, and a lot of it is turnovers. They've done a really good job with turnovers. You watch their tape. They have a lot of returners from the last couple years, and they've done a really good job being aggressive and creating turnovers. So offensively, you know, it's never going to be perfect in game one. We just have to play hard and take care of the ball.
Coach, in a pay-for-play world, do you think there's pressure on coaches to play the guys that they pay the most?
Absolutely. And that's one thing I appreciate about UCF is I don't have a lot of people in my ear and on my back saying, I gave you the money for this guy, why isn't he playing? That allows me to be honest as a coach and honest with the players and play the guys that deserve to play. That's rare, and I really enjoy that about this place. We got good support, but it's not invasive support. And again, then we can be critical thinkers and look at performances and do what's right by the kids by putting the guys on the field that have earned it and deserve it.
Coach, nowadays, I'm sorry. Now that spring ball is gone, fall camp has ended, do you feel the difference in the environment, the atmosphere in the locker room? Does it feel like game week? Is there like a excitement, a nervousness, a uncertainty? Like, what's the feeling right now when you in the locker room?
You know, I feel a confidence and I feel a eagerness to get out there from the guys. A couple times this week, you know, you roll right from fall camp right into practice for a game, and you can fall into the habit of just feeling like you're in another fall camp practice. It hasn't happened a lot, but there's been a couple times at practice I felt that way. There's got to be just more urgency when you're getting ready for a game. Like, this play has to be executed perfect so we can get it out on the field and trust it. You know, in fall camp, if you run a bad play once, you just go to the meeting room and fix it the next 6 days. But there's more urgency, and I don't know if I felt enough of that from the team, but what I do feel is an eagerness to get out there and a confidence in where they are and where they're going.
Scott, health-wise, how is the team going into this game?
A lot of credit to our training staff and our strength and conditioning staff. You know, I look at an injury report every week, and we don't have a lot of guys on there. So we're going to be pretty close to full strength. Minus a couple guys. I don't think Caden Peening's going to be ready, and obviously Swint's out for a while. But other than that, I think it's all hands on deck, and I think those guys have done a really good job keeping the guys healthy and training them the right way so that they're building up to peak at the right time.
In between preparing for Jacksonville State, did you get a chance to watch K-State and Iowa State over the weekend? And maybe, if you did, your first thoughts of the Big 12?
Yeah, I was impressed with both teams. Obviously, the conditions kind of affected the game in the first half, but really impressed with both defenses and how hard they played and how well they tackled. They both found a way to make some big plays later in the game, but it was just a good Big 12 game, and probably very representative of the games in this league, that if you play well, you can win, and if you don't, you can lose. Every team in this league could beat you. So our guys got to be ready to go out and perform their best every week. Thank you.
All right, Miles, does it feel different this week? You know, just getting ready for a game. I know you've been going through the grind of spring and fall camp, but how excited are you to know that the season's only a few days away now?
Yeah, obviously, it's just natural. Coming closer to the game is always a more heightened sense of urgency, just ready to get out there and play. Just yet. Didn't really plan on it, to be honest. Like I said, I don't really concern myself with that, but I'm pretty sure before we run out there, I'll give him a pat on the head, man. Just let him know, man, I'm here for him.
To hear Coach Frost basically say that you're the leader right now and for the offense, what does that mean for you, especially heading into the season in the first game?
It means a lot. I put a lot into this. Some days I go off the field, I'm crying because some days I just felt like we didn't get it done, holding up the standard. But you know what I mean? That just comes with being a leader. I love the role. You know what I mean? I embrace it. I love it. It's what I've worked for. It's what I asked for, so I can't complain about it.
Miles, as one of the leaders of the team and obviously the leader of the offense, what are some of the team goals that you guys may have and some personal goals that you may have for yourself heading into your last season of college football?
Me, personally, I don't set personal goals because I don't like losing and I don't like not achieving goals, so it kind of makes me mad, so I don't really do that. But to answer your first part of the question, you asked what was
some team goals you may have, maybe conference championship, something like that. Like, what have you guys discussed amongst yourselves? Like, what some goals that you guys can accomplish as a team?
Really just be better than you did before, the day before, like our Rise and Conquer thing. Like I said, that's just about what I guess you could say winning looks like for us. So what success looks like for us, just being better than what you were the day before.
Miles, you look at this team. What has stood out to you? What's impressed you the most about what this team has done in fall camp as you guys get ready to start the season?
Really our growth. We've grown a lot from the first day we went out there for spring ball until now. Again, I'm going to keep saying it, be better than you were the day before. And I love that about us because not too many times we make the same mistakes. And that's just, I guess you could say, just looking towards the future about what a good football team is going to look like, just not making the same mistakes over and over. I'm really proud of the guys for that.
You mentioned being excited to kind of show us what you guys are and who this team is on Thursday. What are you most confident about this team being able to accomplish or being able to show in that game Thursday, having been in practices that we haven't seen?
Just you're going to see a lot of effort on the field. We really pride ourselves on running to the football. We pride ourselves, again, not making the same mistakes and just being better than you were before. So you're going to see a lot of that.
How have you been challenged by Coach Beal?
Coach Beal challenges us a lot, mentally, physically, emotionally. He just wants to get the best out of us, so can't complain about that one.
And how have you seen this running back room step up now with Tavion out and some other guys with an opportunity here maybe to get some reps?
Yeah, like I said before, all the freshmen are pretty good players, better than I ever was as a freshman. So, just next man up. That's just how it is in football, right? Unfortunate event. I already know he's going to come back stronger than ever. So,
Miles, what does it mean to you for a guy who's put in the time over multiple years, and now you're entering the season as a starting running back. I mean, this is something you've worked your entire career for. So how excited are you about this opportunity coming up?
I'm really excited. It's just like I said to the first question, you can't let that overwhelm you and wet the bed, right? That all means nothing. You come out there and just don't play to the best of your ability. So I just kind of got to keep a level head right now.
You've mentioned in the past that you're excited about the opportunity to be kind of lead a workload and be the guy back there. Have you done anything to change your approach or your physically or mentally in getting ready over the last month? Has there been anything different about this particular fall camp?
No. As athletes, we're creatures of habit. Changing something like that is just not really a good idea. So nothing's really changed.
Miles, Coach Frost was talking about how good a job Coach Cooper has done. From an X's and O's standpoint and just as a culture guy, what have you gained from him as an offensive coordinator, and what can you say about him?
I've learned a lot from him. He's a guy who's big on not running plays the way you kind of see him on the paper. It's not always going to work out like that. So he's a big football IQ type of guy, and being able to just be a football player and roll with the punches on the fly. So I really like that about him. He's really detailed.
Miles, how fueled are you guys by the naysayers who don't think UCF's going to be very good this year?
You heard Coach say we got a chip on our shoulder. It's kind of a good thing that no one expects anything out of us, right? It can't get any worse. Now we're just ready to go out there and just show everyone what we have.
Miles, what have you seen out of Jaden through this last bit of camp? And obviously you still hanging out with him, of course, hosting the podcast as well. What do you think we can see from him this season, and how excited is he for this season?
Everything you've seen already on videos, you're going to see it again on Thursday, and Saturday is beyond. Jaden's a really good player, and I can't wait. Again, that's another guy. I cannot wait for you guys to see it in person. You've already seen it on videos, but seeing it in person is crazy.
All set? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We got Nicely Kelly coming up.
Tom Cepeda, U.S. Air Force. Donald Finelli, U.S. Army. Greg Estep, U.S. Marine Corps. David Marsters, U.S. Navy. Jack Lohman, U.S. Navy. John Coffey, United States Army. David Furness, United States Navy. Ronald Booker, United States Air Force. Richard Haviland, United States Army. David Walton, United States Navy. Thomas Dioria, United States Marine Corps. Tom Sooty, United States Air Force. Edward Hume, United States Air Force. Lenny Anderson, United States Air Force. Glenn Kroll, United States Navy. Danny Boone, United States Navy. Gary Seavey, United States Navy. Cynthia Sonolitis, United States Navy. Ralph Taylor, United States Air Force. Latimus Margelinas, United States Army. Jim Cochell, United States Army. Frank Lupo, United States Marine Corps. Robert Lynham, United States Army. Bradley Hobbs, United States Army. William Daimler, United States Navy. Richard Farrar, United States Submarine Corps. He bribed me. He bribed me. Stanley Jones, United States Army. Randall Platt, United States Army. Michael Heideck, United States Marine Corps. Paul Source, United States Air Force. Adam Olszewski, United States Army. Chet Chippy, United States Air Force. Edwin Slattery, United States Army. Greg Warhorse, United States Navy.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. Want to get you straight to Port Everglades on this Monday morning as the U.S. Coast Guard and some other agencies are talking about the largest cocaine offload in U.S. Coast Guard history. We're talking 740 pounds of cocaine. Officials say that's enough cocaine to kill everyone in Florida. This is a live news conference going on right now in Fort Lauderdale. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Thank you. So we have time for one question and one follow-up question from the media. If you could please state your name, your outlet, and who your question is for. Sir?
Well, many of these vessels were emanated from Venezuela. As you know, that is now a hub for the Trinidad de Agua for their narcotics trafficking. They hire crews there, and they begin to move those narcotics into various other locales, be it Mexico or Honduras or other places, then they be transshipped into the United States. That is a daily event that we, through the United States Coast Guard and our partners, are attempting to interdict. And it was those vessels, many of whom we know were emanated in Venezuela, that were interdicted, and the cocaine and marijuana were seized by the Hamilton and the other vessels that were mentioned by my colleagues.
Thank you. Next question? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Do you have any numbers on or any information on drugs that were recovered from Colombia?
In the government of Colombia? The cocaine, the elements that are in Venezuela and Colombia work in tandem. The cartels that are in Colombia work colossally with TDA and other elements in Venezuela because it's moving narcotics. The cocaine emanates from Colombia for the most part, but the transshipment and the movement is done in large part by Venezuelan mariners and Venezuelan ships. So yes, there is a connection with Colombia.
All right, sir, please state your name, your outlet, and who your question's for.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I know most of these interdictions were made in the Eastern Pacific. How does this cutter and drugs get from the Eastern Pacific here to the Gulf of Florida, and why here at Port Everglades?
Yes, sir. So our Coast Guard assets, as well as our DoD assets, we patrol both the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. We simply monitor or roll back through the Panama Canal. So we'll often transit that route to get from the east back to the Caribbean and Caribbean to the east back. So
how many, how many intersections were made in the East Pacific, how many were made in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela? What kind of breakdown to?
Yeah, just for our 2-month patrol, we had about 2/3 of those interdictions, and then the rest came from the Caribbean, sir, on this specific offload. Yes, sir. So our ship is stationed in Charleston, South Carolina. So this is simply on the way home, as well as our partners here in Florida, Middle District, Florida. Drugs landed here. DEA lab to our west is where these are offloaded. Yes, sir.
All right, our next question.
Oh, well, it appears we lost our feed there for the Port Everglades news conference going on with the Coast Guard. But I do want to go ahead and get you inside the Oval Office as President Trump signed some executive orders. One of them just a moment ago ended cashless bail. A number of these have to do with cracking down on crime. He's been talking about this as well as he signs these executive orders. So let's get you live inside the Oval Office right now. President Trump speaking.
There's no auto pen that can do that, right? Look at that, Pam. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody. I don't know. That's the other thing. I assume we're looking at the whole auto pen scam.
Sir.
Because the person that ran it said he spoke to it briefly twice about nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because, number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen, very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. You can, but when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. No early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah,
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know, they gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world, by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up. Trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day. 38 European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented. And it was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. When